Hello, I'm here to talk about mind reading in Prolog and how that can affect or be used in Breasoning Writer.pl or Prolog, which is basically the program which uses MindReader, and then basically what happens is it finds the input and output from the mind using by loading the file in Prolog and timing how long it takes to load that file. And the reason that is reading our mind is because of meditation detecting, helping sort of metering how that detects a certain type of A. And then after it finds the input and output, it passes it on to Breasoning, it's getting late, to algorithm writer, and that writes the algorithm, and onto some of the details. So the contents of the file we load in Prolog has nothing in it. It just is indicated by the program that it contains, it's for detecting an A, or whatever number of A's it is, or the type of A, which letter it is. So if we detect 50 A's by a person, as this first theory went, then if a person writes 50 A's and we can detect that, then we can obviously detect the next character in a line of text, is the theory. And if we indicate the question this is a bit further on, but if we could indicate the question that we ask in mind reading with an inaudible voice, we need to pause, let it sink in, let them answer it, and response time of this will vary. We can detect whether there are 50 A's for a person that day before and after putting them through. So, okay, we need to detect whether there are we need to detect whether there are 50 A's, so we actually do the test before and after putting the 50 A's through to detect whether it's whether there's a time difference in loading that file. And then we have the graph of time versus A's, so we have 1, 10, 20, 80, 130, 160, 109, 250, 260, 380, 500, and 500 reasonings. And then we have 5, 10, 15, 30, and 50 A's, and we test the highest first. We have to plan these tests with the type of reasoning, doing the rest, and type of reasoning either is the letter name, and then we do the rest later. Where only a small number of reasons can be examined, and then. Okay, pressing on. The comments, collected reasonings for YouTube need to be developed, i.e. ask for a good reason, not algorithms, which is for longer work sales at 3 or 2 letters each respectively for those syllables of each of those, for the reason and for the commentant's reason. And then when we load the text files in Prolog, the letter name to recognize is in the code, and we need to time it, not print it out. These things that we're testing are reasonings, i.e. when we actually test for something that's indicating a reasoning, not just testing for reasoning. So we need to do so within the quota. We need to do we need to do ourselves. Then the rest, including sales, is given to us. If you get tired, then, or when we get to, because we will get tired, we need to do the Telstra Job Medicine TJM before it, or TJM that is, and then we can test detecting number of A's greater than 250 breathings with TJM and hand breathing out breathings fewer than this to test them before TJM. Test letters non-case sensitive and spaced to conserve complexity. Maybe other punctuation later. Computational meditation is too inefficient, taking too many breathings, so it's done in person. It's done by a spiritual algorithm, but in person. 4,000 breathings on a day, not every day, divided by 27 characters to check per character, equals 148 characters that we effectively have on the maximum days. That's twice a week that we can actually detect. So we have to, that's the quota of characters. That's the number of characters in the quota. You know, in the that we can actually detect in the input and output, or whatever reason we want to use it for. An alternative that could be 15 by 80. 15 A's with 80 breathings per A divided by that 27 characters to check per character. That's 44 characters we have for maximum input and output. And then we can ask questions of single breathings strings, so that just is referring to the part of mind reading. You can actually ask questions during mind reading, and that doesn't require one character per breathing. That can have multiple characters per breathing. And then in this side aside, we have that my influence N asks questions about the most important, most number of links from the thing where you're thinking of, and we ask 5 questions. What is the interesting little thing about it? This is a bit vague because it's philosophy, but it helps answer the question more quickly. But still have to allow time for that. How can it be? Containing L's algorithm comment. My comment, which will encode an algorithm. And 3 questions about 3 details: input, output, and formula. And then we can cut answer to yes or no, or Y or N, I should say, 1 letter each. Breathings for a day come from a single algorithm, from a single algorithmic trace. Word breathings from text breathings using word breathing dictionary. Can ask in mind reading we can't ask in mind reading, sorry, because it's too expensive on quota. For these actual word breathings, and the others, old algorithms that I've already written ages ago, can be done separately by hand, rather than needing, because we only can do 1 algorithm per day, and it's very few. And mind reading is an easier form of taking care of academic pedagogical requirements. I'll just stop there for a minute. I'm back, and we're just I'm just about to say the next part, and then the next part is we need Breasoning's quota for breathing out algorithms, not just finding out what the input and output of them is. So after we've got the input and output, we write the algorithm using the software algorithm writer, and then we have to brazen that out using text-to breasonings for words. So the mind reading quota, as so-called mind reading quota, must be minimized, and the input and output as numbers should be numbers rather than long strings and things, just to conserve quota. And we should ask what type of formula it is. I've got written here, but we may only be able to afford simple algorithms from mind read input and output. Interpreters large algorithms are sometimes done by hand rather than using this method because they're too complex. The input and output would be too long to be detected by mind reading. So algorithms produced are short and may need help from us afterwards. So we might to modify them to put in the argument names and things like that. The algorithm is replicated spiritually, so cells are done from it. So this is a really good thing about the reasoning right algorithm, that it once we've written it's basically out there. We've somehow it goes out and cells are done. Interpret. I suppose the magic genie in the corner interprets us as doing sales when we get it right, so to speak. Earth can't have one person to do many sales for many people because it doesn't work. So everyone does their own sales. Sales is optional. I suppose you could say, because if the customer doesn't want them, sales is optional if the customer doesn't want them because of their complexity. Hand-run algorithm write to we should hand-run algorithm writer to write much of the computational philosophy with text to breathe. So we should hand-run algorithm writer to write much of the computational philosophy, where the instead of mind reader, because there, you can only, as I said, you can only run mind reader to really create one algorithm per day, and then after we've written those algorithms using algorithm writer, we can run text to Breasonings to brazen out the words from those algorithms. We also need to run text to Breasonings to brazen out the words from any sentences, or as this is about me, actually what I'll do during the day, so to brazen out any work during the day, so I need to conserve quota for that. Another thing that is added in there, and we need to juggle how the quota is used, and we can just use text Breasonings to text to Breasonings is a program which braisens out the text in either character form or word forms. So the reason to have text to Breasonings is so we have Breasonings, and the reason to have Breasonings is to have 80. If we have 80 Breasonings, we could H1 in an assignment, and it's not for showing off. It's so we can pass all sorts of professional requirements. So if we have text to Breasonings brazen out, so it can just, let me read this, can just text brazen out more and then more brazen. Okay, so we can actually put in more, we can put more into text to Breasonings than we will brazen out, but we have to do this early in the day and with enough Breasonings and with medicine. And then the final point is Raspberry Pi, a special algorithm which I haven't discussed, but which you can write for Raspberry Pi can actually brazen out word Breasonings by detecting images on the web and writing those Breasonings. So that's all we have time for, and I hope you enjoyed MindReader / Breasoning Writer. Thanks, bye.